What a fun time we've had so far today, Andrew.
And that's what the meaning of life is. What?
You learn on the tipping point of my Tipton, Fox Sports 1380. We got the meaning of life, the best way to find happiness.
Yep, and the solution to all world's problems, and my comprehensive solution for world peace. Boy, I hope something didn't happen to that recording.
It was absolutely beautiful and eloquently spoken, Andrew. Thank you.
I've been in tears most of this past half hour.
Yes. But it is the tipping point of my Tipton, Fox Sports 1380. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the show. This might be a rerun for some people, but it's
Deja
new for
vu
us.
all over again.
Once again, my guy Andrew J. Polk hanging out with us. You can check out his show. KTSM AM 690 is the place to go to. The various Facebook pages, Talk El Paso, KTSM AM 690's Facebook page, all that good stuff. Check out Talk El Paso Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. on 690. Also, the El Paso History Radio Show, Saturdays, 10 to noon, and the El Paso Public Forum, the hardest working man in local radio, the one and only Andrew J. Polk.
Sure.
I, of course, thank you, Andrew, for being a part of the show. I want to remind everybody that we will be moving the show to Saturdays now. We have moved because your boy's got a new career field that he's not going to be able to allocate the time to do what I'm doing right now at this, at this particular time frame. But we're going to be moving the show to Saturdays starting August 6th. 9 a.m. is the airing of the tipping point with Mike Tipton on Fox Sports 1380. We're going to be recording the show live on Fridays because I still have to record the show live on Fridays. I chose a career field that makes it absolutely harder on me to do one simple little thing. But that's my fault. I have no one else to blame except for my own silly self. Once again, though, August 6th, moving the show. We will have more on our social media pages of the Tipping Point of Mike Tipton on Facebook. Follow me, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Mr. Tipton 33. We'll be announcing the locations of the places that we will be broadcasting from whenever we do the live recordings. Brandon the Iceman Cone, Danny Hoban, they are going to be joining me on some of these as well. We're going to try to bring Andrew out there if it's not too late in the day for him to come join us on the show. But nonetheless, Andrew, let's go ahead and get into it. All the stuff that I want to talk about today, since it's been such a busy week of sports. We had the ESPYs. We've had all kinds of things going. MLB's All-Star Weekend, golf tournaments and things like that happening. But the most important thing that I want to talk about is, once again, the just all-out greed that we're seeing from college sports right now, right? The NFL is normally king whenever it comes to sports in the United States. The NFL has been knocked off its pedestal. I mean, obviously, there's nothing going on right now, right? Like, we got OTAs, we got training. No one cares about that stuff. Maybe Hard Knocks is coming out. I think, we're a few weeks now, 3 weeks away from football being back in our life.
Isn't arena football been going on, or do we not count that?
Who cares about arena football? Arena football in the XFL, the USFL, nobody cares about all that nonsense, Andrew. All we care about here in the United States is college football. College football and the student athletes.
Oh, you are clever, sir.
And the NFL, king sport, right? Like, obviously, football rules it all here. If you've been living under a rock, then you don't know that there have been mega super conferences aligning right now. It's kind of like old school Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage coming together, forming the mega powers. That's what we're getting right now in college football with the Big Ten and their 16 teams. The SEC getting, UT and OU to be a part of their conference. Now it's 16 teams. The ACC struggling to survive. The Pac-12 and the Big 12 seemingly cannibalizing one another. As soon as one of those dominoes fell, when USC and UCLA were like, yeah, we think we'll go to another conference, you saw how quick they all just turned on each other.
Not even like dominoes, because dominoes, that takes a while to progress. This is just House of Cards.
It just a flame, and all of it just went up as if it was like just sitting in fire or sitting in fuel for just decades.
Just waiting for that match.
And then there comes the one huge domino that needs to fall to kind of let everyone know what's going to happen. And unfortunately, because I feel that they're overrated, a lot of people are going to tell me they're not, because Notre Dame has a huge fan base. But Notre Dame is that domino.
I meant to say, you better be careful where you're saying that around town here. You might have some pitchforks at your door.
I'm fine with it. Notre Dame is overrated. Notre Dame does not deserve sidetracking, right? Because that's what we do on this damn show. Is
Absolutely.
we sidetrack just the hell out of it. Notre Dame, yes, has been to the college football playoff. They've been in, the championship game. I want to say it was a decade ago. They don't deserve to be there ever. Their strength of schedule is one of the weakest strengths of schedule in college football. Notre Dame plays Army, Navy, and then New Mexico State, schools like that. And then they play in the ACC. And they don't even play Clemson, who's the best in the ACC, or Miami, who's one of the better ones in the ACC, or Florida State on an annual basis. They play them once every 2 or 3 years. So they're playing the likes of Boston College and Pitt and all these other schools that just aren't good enough. Wake Forest. If Notre Dame was in the ACC, they would have been tied for second place in the ACC with Wake Forest and Pitt. Those huge football powerhouses, Wake Forest and Pitt. Maybe Pitt in the past because it was the home of Tony Dorsett and Dan Marino, so maybe I shouldn't be, dumping on it too much. But nonetheless, that was a long time ago.
I mean, they've played in the Sun Bowl, Tip.
Oh, God, don't even get me started on that. The historic Sun Bowl. The one place Notre Dame, that's a crown jewel of Notre Dame, is being able to say that they played in the Sun Bowl. Did they win that game? Did they beat Miami? Because I know that was a huge thing, is that it was Miami, Notre Dame in the Sun Bowl. Who won that game? Because I wasn't in El Paso at that time.
It was Notre Dame. They won.
So there you go. Notre Dame, the coveted Sun Bowl champion. I always forget about that, and it's super funny because one of my friends from up at the mothership, Mike Golick Jr., played on that team.
Yeah.
And remembers coming into El Paso, going over the border, and having himself a good old time. Allegedly, yes, allegedly. But Notre Dame is the one domino, the one jewel that everyone's waiting to see what happens with them. Notre Dame has, and their president, school president, and the athletic director have been adamant, we want to stay independent. Notre Dame has a very lucrative contract with NBC Sports. This year, they're going to be getting $25 million for just their football games. All Notre Dame football games are on NBC, and it's been that way, I want to say, for about 25 years. It's been a long time that they've been doing this thing. Notre Dame, though, sees what's going on in the landscape, and as we know, these TV deals are what's driving everything.
Yeah.
And says, in order for us to stay independent, because that's what we want to do, we want to keep this contract strictly with Peacock and NBC. We want $75 million annually.
Okay, I'm not even saying they couldn't necessarily get it, but I called it in the previous incarnation of this show, that it was either going to be ridiculously low or ridiculously high. And I don't know what a just right number. I mean, you know it when you see it, kind of thing. But that feels like it's on the high end. Just to say.
And this is what's going to happen, right? And a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, the NCAA needs Notre Dame. They need Notre Dame to be good." People would have said that about Miami because Miami was always in the championship picture. People would have said that about Florida State. People would have said that about USC. People would have said that about Texas, and Texas ain't been relevant in a decade and a half.
Man, you just want those pitchforks, the torches in front of your house today, don't you?
It's truth. That's all this is truth.
Leave some sacred cows on slaughter, Tip.
We know what's good in college football. It's Bama, and that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe we say the SEC. Maybe we say the Big Ten. But you've already got big name schools there. You got LSU. You got now Oklahoma. Now Texas going to the SEC. You've got Georgia already there. Florida, the Gators. You got all that. And the Big Ten. You've got one of the greatest rivalries in sports with Michigan and Ohio State. You've got these big name college football teams that are these brands that everyone loves. Mm-hmm. Football left the Pac-12 behind because nobody wanted to stay up that late to watch those games. The Pac-12 money that came from revenue tanked. That's why USC is saying, okay, maybe we've got to be in a new conference, play in a different time zone. People actually give a crap about who we are. Did well there, not to say what I was about to say, Andrew. You see that these teams are chasing the money.
Yeah. I mean, they always have been. They're just that much more open about it now.
John Skipper, former president over and CEO over at ESPN, says that he would like to see a 4-conference or 4 conferences with 16 teams each. Gives you 64 teams,
Absolutely.
the major teams that you want, right? So you get the ACC. Ideally for them, they would want to get Notre Dame because Notre Dame, once again, that wild card.
Yeah.
But you get the ACC, you get the SEC, the Big Ten, and then whatever remnants are left of the Big 12 and Pac-12. You make that their own conference, and you get those 16 teams. If Notre Dame decides that they don't want to be a part of that 64-team rotation, they will be left behind.
I'm about to say, yeah.
Because college football, college sports, athletics in any aspect doesn't wait for a damn person. No. Look at the fact that we're watching greatness in basketball right now and no one cares about LeBron James. One of the most physically gifted athletes that this sport has ever seen, and he is just a toss away because you know what? He ain't Jordan. He ain't in the category of the greatest, right? So if you're Notre Dame and you decide that you want to stay independent, you have to rely on the Big Ten and the ACC and the SEC and whatever is left, the skeleton crew of the Pac-12 and Big 12. We'll just call it iHeart. The iHeart Football Conference.
The haunted ghost ship that is.
Yes. The skeleton ship that is that conference and whatever it might be, right?
We had graphics. We put up something from Pirates of the Caribbean right here.
I'd be good with that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think, do you believe in ghost stories?
You best believe in ghost stories. You're in one.
But you have to look at it that way, right? If Notre Dame stays out, college football ain't waiting on them.
No.
Your strength of schedule is not going to be anywhere near competitive to what these other conferences are. And if you look at what college football is right now, it's going to come down to we will have one representative from each one of these conferences because we only have 4. So you can get your Baylor in there if you're or Oregon, if you're the Big 12, Pac-12, whatever it's going to wind up being. You can get Ohio State, big money revenue generating team. You can get Clemson, former national championship winning team recently. You can get Bama. Why on God's green earth do you need Notre Dame?
I can just see Notre Dame left floating out there in the ether, bullying up the smaller independent teams, but never really having a matchup then unless they can lured away with just an obscene amount of money for a random game.
And that's the thing that it comes down to, right? I'm glad that you brought that up because it segues over to the thought that I had, which was we saw UCF just 5 years ago have an undefeated season and not even crack the college football playoff. They were barely rated in the top 10 at the end of the coaches poll with an undefeated season because no one gave a crap about their conference. If you're not in a conference, Notre Dame, and you're beating the likes of Rutgers and UTEP and,
UAB,
all these other schools that doesn't matter. Sure, you're 11-0, 12-0, but who did you beat that has any actual value? Where the SEC, if Bama's 12-0, that means they beat LSU, they beat Florida, they beat Georgia, and like all the big name schools in the SEC, which is basically the NFL, basically the NFL's pipeline is what the SEC is.
Yeah.
The same with the Big Ten. You got big name schools there, and they're going to have a high, strength of schedule. The ACC, maybe not. Maybe that's where you get it in. Maybe the Big 12 isn't as strong as what it is. So maybe, but now you're relying on those ones to have weak years and hoping that their strength of schedule is weaker than yours when you're booking the Navy and their triple option offense. The Navy Academy, the Air Force. You've heard me harp on this before. How does a team called the Air Force Falcons not pass the ball? The triple option and wishbone is what they run.
They don't have the targeting there, Tip.
Sad. You'd figure they'd have better targeting.
Yeah, I can just see it in Notre Dame saying, well, we had a real tough schedule this year against the Moorhead Middle School JV team. We were worried about that one, but we only managed to pull out 144 points in that game. So we were a little bit disappointed.
And I get it because there's going to be a lot of people that are out there like, oh, well, Tip, for the last, century almost, Notre Dame has booked their own thing. They've been independent. A lot of people don't know this. Notre Dame tried to go to the Big Ten, or what was the predecessor to the Big Ten in the 1920s. You know why they weren't allowed?
Probably wanted too much, I'm assuming.
Well, not back then.
Okay.
There was an anti-Catholic sentiment that was going around at the time.
Boy. Yeah.
Notre Dame was not allowed to be a part of the Big Ten Conference because of their obvious Catholic affiliation.
Wow, we are digging deep here.
Yes. That's the reason why Notre Dame stayed independent for so long. They don't have that luxury anymore. If you're Peacock, would you pay $75 million a year for
Nope.
12 games? That's insane.
That's like a 10-year contract buy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Because you're looking at like what the Big Ten is getting, right? And what the SEC is going to be getting from ESPN, where they're getting like these, 10-year billion-dollar deals that are going to break down money that goes down to all these schools. What makes Notre Dame feel like they're entitled enough to get that $75 million, a $50 million jump from what they're getting this year? And like 25 million isn't like anything to scoff at, right? But if you're Notre Dame, like I appreciate the moxie that it takes to try to like think of yourself in this level.
I mean, yeah, the chutzpah to just say, no, you're going to add like a couple zeros to that number, my dude.
Well, but you look at it, right? A lot of people don't realize this, and this is like the nerdy stuff that I love looking at, because to me, the business of sports is just so dirty and so cutthroat. NFL Sunday Ticket has been a staple on DirecTV.
Mm-hmm.
Apple is looking to buy it.
Yep.
Very few entities on this planet, and I would venture to say galaxy, have the resources that Apple has. So you know what that means? Apple's getting NFL Sunday Ticket. It's going to happen. Just the same way that Apple got the broadcast rights that they wanted for football, just the same way Amazon got the broadcast rights for football, because they have much more money. If I'm Notre Dame and I'm looking at that, I'd call up Apple.
Yeah.
Because you will have Notre Dame fans that would subscribe specifically for that.
I mean, honestly, that would be a better platform for them anyway, because, I mean, with everything going streaming and not terrestrially based, and the big three legacy networks, they still have a lot of terrestrial thought to it and how they're going to plug it in with their terrestrial, over-the-air signal programming or cable, which is still very much terrestrially based, versus the way Apple does it, where, hey, buy a season pass, we'll show it to you wherever the hell you want. Doesn't matter how you're watching it, on your phone, on your tablet. It better be an Apple computer, but otherwise we'll show it to you there. So they're happy.
I'm glad I've got all the Apple stuff, because like I've missed, because I have Spectrum, right? So I've missed having Sunday Ticket and like the Red Zone channel and like all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, glad I get to actually do this again. Hawk is just putting UTEP with the heart and a pickaxe. I would love to see, and it's not going to happen because it's UTEP, right? But I would love to see UTEP go into like a Big 12. It's at its weakest point right now. You don't have to worry about having the same UT name with UT Austin, because that was the big hurdle. We can't have two UTs in the Big 12. You bring in UTEP into the Big 12. If I'm the Big 12, I'm scraping as many teams as I possibly can. I am limiting my geographical, availability, because you look at the Big 10 from New Jersey all the way over to LA. That's what the Big 10 map is.
Yeah, that's true.
The ACC, luckily, they stay along the Atlantic coast.
Yeah, they kept it.
The exact same thing with the SEC. We stay in the Southeast. Texas as far west as they go, right? I get it, because
if you want to look in the South,
yeah, 1860s will tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
One of the flags of Texas, ain't that right?
Yeah.
But if I'm UTEP and if I'm the Big 12, I say, okay, let's bring in these schools that no one wants. We have already got, the Pac-12 is going to go away. So let's bring in Air Force. Let's bring in, they're already bringing in BYU. They're already bringing in Houston. Why not say, okay, let's get Colorado in. They're already bringing in Utah. So they're bringing in some of that local feel right there. So you don't have to worry about what it's going to cost to fly all of your teams, because it's not just a football thing anymore.
Oh, yeah.
How are you going to fly your volleyball team out there? How are you flying your soccer team from Rutherford, New Jersey, all the way over to LA to play a game? That's money. And that's coming out of the school's pocket, because once the football revenue is done, now it's up to the school to get whatever the hell they can.
That's true.
So if I'm the Big 12, that's where I kind of do my thing. Is just let's centralize our location here and hope that we have enough big name schools to maybe matter. And if you're Notre Dame, you're just looking at the rest of it and saying, okay, where can I get the most money? I think if you want to stay independent, go to Apple.
Yeah, I think that's about the only real line for them, honestly.
Because Apple and ESPN are the only two entities, and I guess maybe Amazon, that don't care about how much money they spend.
Hulu, but it's an offshoot of Legacy. Let's be honest there.
But that's like, to me, the thing that's so interesting about this is like Apple can just say, okay, I'll throw whatever money just because no one else gets Notre Dame. We do. ESPN can do the exact same thing. But then Notre Dame is at the mercy of ESPN's programming, which is going to be centered around the SEC.
ESPN 8, the Ocho.
Get all your Notre Dame action on the Ocho. I can't wait to see like just how this devolves, because we're already seeing, and Eddie Morello said it perfectly on the chat here. It's wild how much money is involved in all this. There is no more loyalty in sports, only loyal to the dollar. And it reminds me that, quote, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil, end quote. I don't think it's evil. I think that what this is ultimately going to do, and I hope, and maybe it's just me being oddly optimistic, is that this leads to the players actually getting paid. Yeah, sincerely doubt it.
I'm about to say, if there's a list of priorities, it's at the bottom if it's on the list. But sure.
So we'll see kind of like how all that nonsense goes in the future. I'm excited. Because we're watching one of the largest entities just fall apart.
Yeah.
And one of the cool things about it, once again, going back to John Skipper, I heard him on Meadowlark Media earlier today talking about what might happen. John Skipper has been on the forefront of a lot of this stuff. He's the one who was able to convince the ACC to sign a 20-year deal with ESPN because he had the forefront of saying, oh,
let's lock this down.
Yeah, because we know where this is going. Help launch off ESPN Plus, all of that good stuff. John Skipper knows this stuff when it comes to business. Odd that they hired me there. Terrible business decision.
You win some, you lose some.
But he said, we're watching right now, these conferences bully the NCAA. How soon before these conferences realize that they can just kick the NCAA out of March Madness? And then they get to keep all that money that comes from college basketball.
This is just the chaos talking tip.
I'm here for it because you know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen. And I cannot wait to see just when the conference, because we saw it. The NCAA had their chance, right? At the beginning of the pandemic, the NCAA had their chance to say, we are the ones that make the rules. You will follow our rules. They didn't. We'll leave it up to the conferences. You guys do whatever you want. We're just here to, kind of supervise and see what's going on here. Oh, so we don't have a boss. We're the boss? Oh, okay. Then let's get the NIL going and just make it the wild, wild west. Who's got the most money to spend here?
Ooh.
And you know how we can get more money? Losing our affiliation with you nerds. We don't have to worry about passing academics or any of that. We can just make these football and basketball factories and just make a whole bunch of money for it.
Or at least stop lying about the fact that we already are.
Oh, man. The chaos. Like, I feel it pulsating through me right now.
I can see there's a little vein in your head that's bulging.
I've always associated myself more with Batman, like the Dark Knight type thing. I think I'm more Bane.
Oh, absolutely Bane. The amount of times you say put it straight in my veins alone.
I just need it right there, coursing through my veins. Oh, whenever we come back though on the 10 Point My Tip in Fox Sports 1380, we're going to be talking about Major League Baseball, what they need to do to fix baseball. They had their All-Star weekend, or week. Used to be a weekend. Hawk Scott was out in L.A. I asked him if he was at the All-Star game. He said not for $2,000 a ticket.
Woo. Yeah.
For baseball. Who cares about baseball anymore? And we're also going to talk about some of the things that are going on in the world of basketball. Our guy LeBron James always in the news. And then is a 3-minute flight worth the 3-minute flight? All that and more on Fox Sports 1380. What a long segment.
Right. Blowing up them clocks. Oh, the chaos abounds.
Do you have any water? I probably should have brought some in.
Yeah, I got one.
Every time I keep forgetting my headphones, I keep forgetting damn water. Oh, didn't you say you had like a snack or something too? Oh, this guy. I think what we should do is like use this time to get nominees for like weird snacks. Because I think it's been a while. I was thinking of bringing in some beer for us as well. The Stone Cold Steve Austin Broken Skull beer. What do y'all think? What's a weird snack out there that we should try on the show in the next few weeks? Leaving that up for the comment section here. I don't know if I.
Yeah, if you really need a snack, I got you a Nutrigrain bar.
No. I was just like thinking about because it's been a while. Like I think we went like almost 2 months straight trying something different.
Well, lifted on the whole mayonnaise Oreo.
Oh God, I try to forget that. Forgot that I subjected myself to that.
Mm-hmm.
I harmed myself just to spite you. All right, here we go. Get into that second segment. 3, 2. It is the tipping point of my Tipton Fox Sports 1380. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the show. Whether you're doing that over the airwaves of Fox Sports 1380 on the iHeartRadio app, on the various streams that we have right now, maybe even the podcast that you can download on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or anywhere that you get your podcast. Reminding you that we will be moving the show in a few weeks. I guess we're 2 weeks out from moving the show.
Yeah.
August 6th, it will be moving to Saturdays, 9 a.m., at least the airing on Fox Sports 1380, since we still have to pre-record the show. Not going to get into that at this exact moment, but that's what's going to happen. We're moving the show to Saturdays starting August 6th at 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We will be putting out on social media where we will be pre-recording the show at. There's going to be various locations that we're going to be doing that from. You've heard us talk about some of them, so you can probably kind of guess some of the locations that we're going to be recording the show from as well. Also, tune into Andrew's stuff. Support what Andrew's doing for Andrew's support of us. Support the support that Andrew supports us with.
Yay.
I could see the confusion in your face as I was saying all that.
We're your athletic supporters.
Cups. KTSN AM 690 is the place to go Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. for Talk El Paso. What do y'all have coming up this week on Talk El Paso? Or I guess today, since the week is over.
Oh, yeah. Well, today, Friday, are our very special days when we embrace the chaos on our own. We take the comments and calls throughout both hours of the program here solidly. And, well, I don't know what I expect, but it's never usually what happens.
Get your popcorn ready, is all I'll say. The Friday shows are some of my favorite shows as well. Also, tomorrow on Saturday, you can check out the El Paso History Radio Show, legacy show right here, long running in the city of El Paso, Saturday, 10 to noon. Mm-hmm. And y'all got something coming up as well, right?
Yep, going to be talking about Felix Martinez on the occasion of the dedication of a Texas historical marker in his honor, talking with his great-grandson about the many accomplishments, many impacts he had on this region, including establishment of educational institutions, being a part of the establishment of the state of New Mexico itself, as well as, water resources, negotiating with Pancho Villa, quite a character, and we delve into his history.
I see my dude, Renee Botello, is tuned into the show right now as well. Want to give a shout out to him. And, of course, our inaugural winner of the Grill Zaddy competition, Jason Chavez at Skinny's Barbecue. They will be having their soft opening coming up this week. This weekend. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Oh, barbecue on a Saturday. Your boy is in.
There you go.
The fat guy that is me is super excited right now. Not Tim Duncan excited. Legitimately excited. Check out their social media pages at Skinny's Barbecue. Check out where they're going to be opened up at. Remember that the Tipping Point of My Tipton is brought to you by our friends over at the Gentleman's Republic at 1712 North Mesa. They've got a special going on this month for the listeners of the Tipping Point of My Tipton. Get yourself a pedicure. You already saw the video that I put out on social media as well. If they can make my feet look good, they can make your feet look good. And do it for yourself. Don't let all the preconceived notions that men shouldn't be taking care of their feet bother you. We learned it from Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump.
Got to take care of your feet.
There you go. That's the number one rule in Lieutenant Dan's platoon is you got to take care of your feet. And honestly, I kind of like the fact that my feet were soft.
There you go.
I am one of the weird people that will
You're not
lotion
a
my feet.
lizard.
every
You don't
day.
have to be scaly.
Exactly. So go out there. They're doing a special right now. You get the pedicure. They throw in the manicure for half off as well. Just tell them the tip sent you. If you don't believe that they actually made my feet look good, go check out my OnlyFans. Wait a minute. I mean my TikTok and Facebook and Instagram.
Which links to the OnlyFans?
Yes. And see the video that I put out there for our friends over at the Gentleman's Republic, 1712 North Mesa. All right, Andrew. We had mentioned going to the break that we're going to talk about Major League Baseball, maybe even the ESPYs. Does anyone care about award shows anymore? I don't think so. It's pretty, like, I never did. I thought award shows were super lame. But I'm really interested in this thing that I saw, that I heard of yesterday. Kylie Jenner taking a private jet, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's my assumption too.
For a 3-minute flight to avoid traffic. We talk about climate change and all this stuff, and like we know it's happening, right? Like there's no way. Like the most, well, maybe not the most, but a lot of people on the far right have to acknowledge it's been hotter than Satan's a-hole over the last couple of months, and it just keeps getting hotter and hotter. And you see these people that are like, oh, and this is a new phrase that I didn't know even existed. I'm probably gonna butcher it because it just escaped the top of my brain right now. But it was something along the lines of class and like consumption, where like the highest class people can create this chaos, and it's Kylie Jenner doing it as she poisons the environment, taking a private jet.
Also, they'll be like preaching at you one moment and then doing the exact thing they said. Well, it's fine when I do it because I'm rich.
And you can say, okay, well, maybe not a lot of gas was used in that private jet as opposed to what you would use in your car. Maybe it's not that much. As someone that worked in fuels in the United States Air Force, I can tell you that's a lot of fuel that was used in that jet.
Yeah.
So the question now has to come, Andrew. If you had the ability, you'd do it too, wouldn't you?
Man, okay, but like a helicopter, even a helicopter would have been better than that, probably.
Well, and that's what I was thinking. Was it a helicopter at first? I did the research. It's a jet.
Exactly, like a jet.
You're going 39 miles.
Were you already at the airport and just need to get to the other airport? Because if it's anywhere else, that's still nuts, even just logistically speaking.
No, I think what it was is she went from like Van Nuys to Camarillo, which is just a 39-mile trip. I get it. LA traffic is god awful, right?
Sure, there's a lot of reasons I don't live in California.
But if I had the money, I'd be flying a jet over here. Can you imagine?
I mean, I'd be flying a lot of places, but not for 3 or 17 minutes.
But you see, like I thought that as well, like the jet, right?
Yeah.
Like the jet seems excessive. You could just have a helicopter because I'm sure she's got a huge property.
Yeah.
Pick her up, drop her off in a random ass parking lot.
How much they go where you actually need to go as opposed to just another airport that you still then have to get ground transport from? Like, seriously.
And then that's what I wanted to know as well. If you're getting the ground transport, like you've obviously got to be in the car to get to the airport that you went to. Then another car. Like, how much does she just have cars lying around there? Do you Uber? If I'm that rich, I don't know if I'm Ubering.
I mean, you buy Uber.
So where would the quick flight be for you? Like, you're leaving out of El Paso, you got to get to this place in just a heartbeat. Because I think if you fly commercial from here to San Antonio is what, 45 minutes? Maybe an hour?
Yeah, depending on factor in the time change.
Yeah, and the same thing like here to Phoenix and all that. What would be the 3-minute? I know you said you wouldn't, but what would be the 3-minute flight? Would it be from like your house to mine? Because that's a drive.
Yeah, that's probably just about.
Yeah. So I mean, you alleviate the traffic. Obviously, we don't meet up in high traffic times.
Okay, no, you want to be specific with it here. We got just stupid FU money here at this point is what we're talking about here. With the initial part
NCAA money.
Yeah. Notre Dame money. With that level, I would have like a Ted Turner style amount of land out in like southern New Mexico with like essentially a small fiefdom, and I'd then fly from here to the studio. That's what I would be doing. That would be the 3-minute flight.
And it's got me thinking about these things, like the hierarchy of pilot. Right.
Yeah, the pilot you just have standing around and hoping you haven't ticked off enough because of the way you treat him that he's not going to be like, today's the day. We're going some high speed dirt, baby.
I was gonna say Kobe, but I felt like that was too soon.
Yeah, a little bit.
I always feel good too whenever I can get you to have that reaction. So there we go.
Caught me mid drink too. Yeah.
Okay then. But like the hierarchy of like pilot, right? Because I don't know if I trust the guy that flies like once a week. You know what I mean? Like they say
Yeah.
that you master anything, you gotta get like your 10,000 hours in, right? So I
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like the best of the commercial pilots. And then like maybe helicopter pilots will be up there because you know they're always up there flying and doing their thing.
Yeah, sure.
What do you feel about like the seaplanes, the ones that have to land on the sea? Because I feel like those are not qualified pilots at all. Like that is the lowest rung of pilot.
I mean, here in the El Paso desert, yes.
The
And it says they're a seaplane pilot and lives here, I'm going to be looking at very side-eyed.
coolest thing too is like whenever I lived up in Alaska, you can actually buy one of those planes for like $1,500.
Yeah.
And I, was,
Planes, yeah.
I thought to myself too, like that'd be kind of cool because I do want to get like a pilot's license. I obviously
to,
don't.
yeah.
I obviously don't want to like fly a private jet for 17 or 3 minutes. Isn't that all tracked on like a national database where like they show the plane patterns
You
and
can
stuff?
see the flight plan of any kind of plane that has flown legally in the U.S.
You know that there's got to be some guy in LA like just looking at that stuff. You're flying to where?
Yeah. I mean, there is that, of course, that apocryphal story about the seaplane, the Navy seaplane that had to land in Escalante Lake at one point. Yeah.
I have not heard of this.
Yeah, apparently it happened. It's doing cross country, supposed to go coast to coast, or at least lake to lake, real lake to lake, and had engine trouble, so had to put down in Escalante.
Wow, I'm surprised. This had to be like in the 50s, right? Like a long time
I think it
ago.
was like 50s or 40s even.
Watch this happen like 2010. Neither of us were in El Paso at that time. So yeah, naval seaplane lands in El Paso. That's got to be cool. I always love that too because like you're a wealth of history knowledge that I can just like go to at any time, and you can bring up some random ass story just like that.
1960s, actually.
Nice. So while Benny the Jet Rodriguez was ruling Southern California, El Paso had themselves a naval seaplane land at Escalante Lake.
Yep. In fact, there's the picture of it from the El Paso Times.
That is fantastic. I love that. I don't know why, but I absolutely love that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we didn't talk sports at all during this segment. You know why? It's called making up time. That's why.
Sports. There you go.
Whenever we come back, though, on the Tipping Point, My Tipping Fox Sports 1380, we will get into Major League Baseball, what we can do to help save baseball. A player like Shohei Ohtani should not just be massively irrelevant. And then why do people hate Shohei Ohtani? Does Andrew even know who Shohei Ohtani is? Oh, I always love when I get to talk to the brick wall. More sports coming up next.
Yeah, the Google so you can get a seaplane for like 20 grand.
Really? I was thinking about that. Like, I would love to buy like a prop engine plane.
Yeah.
And just fly from here to like San Antonio whenever I do all those trips, or like here to Charleston. But I also feel like that would take forever. I followed this woman on TikTok, and she flew from Lansing, Michigan to like LA in her little prop engine plane.
And you're making like 20 stops along the way.
I think she made 12. Still a lot, but I'd do it.
I'd do it, yeah.
If I had Kylie Jenner money, I would take a jet.
I'll be taking a ballistic missile. You kidding me?
Like I would just be doing the most asinine things. Like the world would hate me. Elon Musk would be my worst enemy.
Yeah, I'd just be trying to outdo him all the time.
Oh yeah.
I'd show up wherever he is with a slightly taller top hat than he is.
I would make sure my cars didn't get delivered either. They caught on fire as much as possible. He is going to ruin this show.
Mine are packed with fireworks.
So if mine catch on fire, you get a show.
This is fun.
As billionaires blast off into space, leaving us all behind.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's get this.
The problem is they keep coming back. Anyway.
I'm going to say, yeah. Ooh. Let's get this next segment in. 3, 2. It is the Tipping Point, My Tipping Fox Sports 1380. Thank you all so much for tuning into the show. Don't forget that we are brought to you by our friends over at Three Missions Brewery. 1712. Wow. My addresses are messed up. 10179 Socorro Road is where Three Missions Brewery is. Check out the Pomegranate Beer. They actually have a back to school drive that they're going to be doing over the next couple of weeks as well. They still have some of the watermelon beer that they brewed for the 4th of July. So get that before it runs out as well. And obviously, it's a great atmosphere anytime that you go out there. Casa Ortiz is out there as well. They've got Texas Terrier and the paints always happening. And it's just such a fun atmosphere. Rick and crew have come up with a food truck now. So they have their own dedicated food truck. Don't worry, though. Tacos Del Gom still goes out there from time to time. So just, Joe, check them out. Our friends over at Three Missions Brewery. Been down since day 1.2, I guess, would be what this would be. 2.1? How would we do it whenever the show first started back up again in January? How would that be labeled?
I don't even know.
Whatever it is, they've been down since that. So go check them out. Great beer over in the Socorro area. I'm always surprised at how many people down in Socorro don't know it's there. And I'm always surprised, like, whenever I introduce them to it, that they're like, this blows my mind. Makes me happy.
Gotta get out more.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's Socorro's not that big. Pretty small place. Major League Baseball has a problem, Andrew. They had their All-Star game this week, right? I didn't watch the All-Star game. I remember being younger, that was like appointment television. You had to watch the All-Star game, right? They did something pretty cool in it that I would like to see them implement to kind of get people interested in it, where they were miking up batters live. They were being interviewed kind of, so it was kind of leading the conversation in a certain way. But they would ask the batter, what pitch are you looking for? And it would take you a little bit deeper into the game and you see the mindset of it. They've mic'd up pitchers and you would hear, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to throw. You would hear conversations between like the players. And one of the cooler things was when Nestor Torres, a pitcher for the Yankees, was there with one of the catchers for the Yankees. Both of them, first-time All-Stars. Been in Major League Baseball about 4 years, the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of just like meet out at the mound and they're like, man, this is just so cool. And you see like that, like, the wonderment of all that. Yeah, like, that's a cool thing to see, right? And then I wonder to myself, maybe it's so cool because it just happened that one time. Because now we all take the spider cam in the NFL, like, for granted.
Yeah, if it doesn't have it, what is this garbage?
Exactly, right? So now I'm kind of like, okay, what can we do to raise the profile of Major League Baseball? Because there's a player show.
What?
Just get rid of all of it. Because there's a player named Shohei Ohtani. And for those that are hardcore sports people, you also have to remember this show doesn't cater to just hardcore sports people. Super weird. We spoke about the demographic. 70% women on TikTok. I believe it's 64% women on Facebook and like almost a 50-50 split on Twitter and on Instagram. Weird the amount of women that are into this show.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. But if you're Major League Baseball, how do you get a modern day Babe Ruth into the limelight? Shohei Ohtani is the 12th best rated pitcher in baseball this year.
Okay.
And is the 18th best rated batter in baseball this year. He pitches and bats, so he's in the lineup every single day.
Yeah.
They have the universal DH right now. He's one of the few people that's like, I don't need to have the universal DH. You can just have me in the game. Beautiful. We are watching a guy that can pitch 101 miles an hour on his fastball, tons of break on his curveball, and has hit the hardest home run in baseball this year. Like, left the stadium, I want to say, at 117 miles an hour.
Wow. This
guy's doing stuff that, once again, only one person is synonymous with. It's Babe effing Ruth. How does no one know this guy? And I get it, there's a language barrier and stuff like that, but people knew who Ichiro was. People knew who all these, Spanish-speaking baseball players were, like Roberto Clemente and all them. What is baseball doing that's not allowing people to understand or even know who the hell this guy is? Because he's one of the greatest baseball players we have ever seen. What more can baseball do? I get it, it's a boring game. A lot of people don't like going and watching baseball. If you go to minor league baseball games, you're there more for the experience, right? Because you don't get the emotional attachment to these players. Has baseball already just fallen behind? Is it done with? Does anyone care anymore?
I mean, even the way we talk about it as, the national pastime, we were just talking about it on the other programming here about how people used to go and here in El Paso sit on rooftops and watch the Mexican Revolution battles going on because TV didn't exist, radio wasn't really a thing yet, or you didn't have one, and there was nothing better to do. So the idea of it having to be a pastime, when's the last time you were like, man, particularly with this miracle of modern technology, the phone in front of me, there's literally nothing else for me to do. That's not a thing in the modern world anymore. So I'm not saying that there's not a place for it. I mean, the fact that 90% of the time nothing is happening on the field except in that one lane between the batter's mound and, the pitcher's, the batters with the home plate and the pitcher's mound. That's about it. That's where the excitement happens unless someone actually hits something. I mean, one of the crowning achievements of the game, a no-hitter, great physical prowess done on the part of the batter, boring as hell to watch then for the fan.
Well, yes and no. I think whenever you can actually recognize that it's a no-hitter later in the game, that's whenever you're like, oh, okay. Because to me, the no-hitter moves the game so much faster.
I guess that's true.
Because that's what I think is the issue with baseball. It's my issue with soccer, right? The game is so long for such little action. And it becomes a hard thing to want to take in. The one thing that soccer has going for it is that it doesn't have the amount of commercials that baseball has. It doesn't have the breaks that baseball has.
And yet, I think that's been part of the reason it hasn't been as implemented or embraced here in the U.S. Because look at football. Football is constant. There's a million places to put in breaks. The man in the red hat is the most powerful man on that field because he's the one who steps out and says, we're taking a break now. And that's why I think soccer, because you can't, all the advertising has to be on the field.
Yeah. It's the return on investment, right? Mm-hmm. Like if the TV station doesn't get the money that they want to get out of it, then what's the point of having it on there? And I'm glad that you brought up football because people always talk about how boring baseball is. Football clock the entire game 60 minutes. Like if you get overtime.
But
11 minutes on average of action because of the 45-second play clock, because of all the other little things that happen with football. A sixth of the time, something is happening during the game. I would say there's more happening in baseball with the pitches. But if you're a nerd like me that loves baseball, like you watch what the pitches are. You're looking at like the miles per hour. It's more enjoyable on TV now than what it used to be. I love going to the games because I'm one of the few people that can actually say, oh, this was that pitch, because I could see like what it was, right? But I also realize like a Major League Baseball game for me would probably be super boring.
Yeah.
Minor League Baseball is fun because they're a lot more relaxed. They're laid back. They do all these stupid little things. I don't know if you saw the kid in the Minor League Baseball game in Wisconsin that got ran over by the NFL player.
No.
Mascot.
Oof.
They had him do an Oklahoma drill. You know what an Oklahoma drill is?
Nope.
You're both laying down on your back, head to head, feet out this way. The whistle blows, you get up and run into each other like a couple of, Rams or something going at it during the middle of the season when they need to get laid.
Oh, jeez.
An NFL player versus a 19-year-old, 150-pound mascot.
And he's alive, or?
He had a bruise on his entire chest from how he got blown up. The most terrifying part, though, was the poor kids that saw the mascot's head, Elvis the Kingfish, get annihilated.
Oh, no.
I felt bad for the kids in the first row because you just hear the screams.
Oh. That is bad.
Maybe that's what baseball needs to do.
Landmines. I'm telling you. Just randomly scattered about the field. Pattern change every week.
But I saw something the other day after Major League Baseball was done because I didn't know this was a thing during the All-Star game because they have these different rules. If the All-Star game had ended in a tie at the end of the ninth inning, they would have had a home run derby to determine the winner. That's how baseball needs to end their games. And I wouldn't go 9 innings anymore. I'd just go 7.
Yeah.
And then you just have that home run derby because who doesn't love seeing bombs? Just absolute bombs. And then you sign the biggest, like, most roided up guy you can find and just let him lay loose, right? Because that's how you win your games.
And if you want to get the excitement back, mandatory steroids.
Oh, I remember I brought that up to Walter once. He got mad at me.
Makes sense.
Like, sports fans deserve our athletes to give us the best that science can provide.
Don't get me started on cyborg players.
I don't know how I feel. I don't think you get the attachment with the cyborg players.
I don't know. The cyborg player could dunk from center court. You might have changing your story.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a robot. Like, it's not.
No. Still got the man and the machine.
Oh, okay. Roids.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Don't forget that we are moving. Saturdays will be the new airtime of the show starting August 6th, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. here on Fox Sports 1380. We will be recording at various locations on Friday afternoons. Maybe. We'll see how all that stuff goes. Don't forget to support the stuff that Andrew is doing as well. Talk El Paso, 4 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, KTSM AM 690. Also the El Paso History Radio Show. Saturdays, 10 to noon. And once again, who are you having on tomorrow?
Tomorrow, it's going to be Ron Hagquist, the great-grandson of Felix Martinez, on the occasion of the plaque and the, Texas State Historical Marker going to be dedicated to Martinez.
So there you go. All the fun stuff that's happening over there. Andrew, the El Paso History Radio Show is one of the few shows that I've watched almost religiously on a regular basis. I don't get to watch it live as much as I want to, but I will go back and listen to the recordings and all that good stuff. So check out all the good stuff that Andrew is doing. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for supporting us here on the Tipping Point with my tip on Fox Sports 1380. We'll see you next week, maybe. If I don't get fired.